Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, the Curt Cignetti era is here. We'll tell you all about his debut victory with the Hoosiers.
And volleyball grabbed the comeback from the West Coast. We'll tell you more about their successful start to the season. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Kennedy Rehklau.
And I'm Thomas Crow.
Thomas, how does it feel to be back at the desk for the very first episode of the season?
Kennedy, it feels great to be back in Bloomington. It feels great to be back in the studio.
You know, speaking of firsts, football is back in Bloomington as the Hoosiers began their season on a high note. Our Joe Cronin has more on the season opener.
The buzz at Memorial Stadium was active at the start of today's game as the Curt Cignetti era is officially underway. Indiana is 1-0 on the season after taking down Florida International 31-7. The Hoosiers came out hot, leading 21-0 on 3 straight scoring drives, but stalled offense in the second half led to a consensus around this team that there's more to be done to keep pushing and maintaining that big lead.
You know, too many opportunities squandered, you know, and then the protection and just got to get better there. Got to learn to play the lead. Got to learn to play the lead. You're up 21-0, man. Got to keep the edge.
Now offensively, the ground game was working for the Hoosiers. Almost 240 yards on the ground, 3 scoring touchdowns, as this offensive line was allowing almost 6 yards per carry for their running backs. It was Tyson Lawton who was able to feed off those gaping holes the offensive line gave him, showcasing some fancy footwork for his first ever Hoosier touchdown, while also being able to punch in a second on a goal-to-go situation. The credit, however, all to his offensive line.
Offensive line did an amazing job today. Shout out to all 5 of them. Holes, even when Curt pulled it, those holes were still wide open. So yeah, just shout out to the whole line.
Now defensively, this team was able to get into the backfield a lot of that Panthers side. 8 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks. Guys like Aiden Fisher, Michael Camara, Linnell Carr, they were getting busy and disrupting anything that Keon Jenkins tried to do.
He's a very mobile guy, really good quarterback that can hurt you with his legs. So our biggest thing was containing him, knocking him off his rhythm, and getting that sack. And the many others that we had during this game were a key to keeping him kind of contained and allowing us to thrive on defense.
Well, yes, Coach Cignetti admits that there's things to work on, but a win is a win. 1-0 is this team's record. They take on Western Illinois this upcoming Friday. That's an FCS battle at 7:30 p.m. From Memorial Stadium and for IUSTV Sports, I'm Joe Cronin.
This will be the 3rd straight year Indiana has played an FCS school on a Friday, as the Hoosiers look to get out to a 2-0 start on the young season.
Indiana women's soccer took on Wright State last Thursday before traveling to Rhode Island for a matchup against Brown on Sunday night. The Hoosiers took care of business in the first of their 2 matchups, posting 6 goals and a clean sheet in a decisive victory over the Raiders. The same could not be said for Indiana's play against Brown, as the Hoosiers needed a second-half goal from midfielder Olivia Rush to pull out a 1-1 draw with the Bears.
Like, we've got to do a lot of things different, but we're definitely not where I want us to be. But to not be where we want to be 3-0, I think is not a bad place, and you know, a couple of quality wins. So we definitely got to fix some things, because Brown will be a little bit of a different level, to be honest.
The Indiana men's team fell to an in-state foe Butler last night in Indianapolis. Our Josh Post has more.
Another day, another September draw for Indiana men's soccer as they were at the Selleck Bowl on the campus of Butler University to take on the Bulldogs on Wednesday night.
We squandered too many chances. We got to be better in the final third. You can't get, probably 3 or 4, semi-breakaways that we just, couldn't find the right pass, or we decided to pass.
Indiana got the scoring going in the 12th minute thanks to a left-footed strike from just outside the box off the foot of Patrick McDonald to give the Hoosiers a 1-0 lead. Hoosiers dominated the first half, but were unable to get any further after Tommy Mahalik missed a penalty kick over the bar after earning one midway through the first half. Bulldogs were trying to fight back in the second half, and they finally broke through on a broken play that got past Alex Barger and slipped by JT Harms, tying the game in the 65th minute at 1 apiece. The final 25 minutes were spent going back and forth, with each team having an opportunity in the attacking third, but to no avail, ending the match in a 1-1 draw.
Back to work, and make sure their heads are up. You can't have continued slippages. So we just know that there could be another game in the season where it's like, man, how'd that happen? And we're like, wish we should have that Butler game back. So we got to keep reminding them, you can't get them back.
With the draw, Indiana moves to 1-1-2 on the new season and will go back home to Bill Armstrong Stadium to take on the Dayton Flyers on Monday. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Josh Pose.
The Hoosiers have the weekend off and will take on Dayton on Monday at home.
Coming up after the break, we will crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And we'll have more on field hockey's rocky start. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night.
Hoosier News Source, Wednesdays on IUSTV.
And welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Victoria Remrev. Victoria?
Thanks, guys. The Indiana men's soccer team is heating up as they start their 2024 season, and one freshman in particular had a lot to do with it. This week's Hoosier Highlight of the Week is IU men's soccer freshman Michael Nessie. In Nessie's second game as a Hoosier, he netted his first collegiate goal against Notre Dame off a pass from Josh Mayer. Nessie hammered the shot into the bottom corner of the net to tie the game. It was also Indiana's first goal of the season. Following his strong performance against Notre Dame, the freshman earned his first start for the Hoosiers on Sunday against Yale. Nessie has already proven to be an asset on the Hoosiers' attack with his speed and scoring ability. That's all for your Hoosier Highlight of the Week. I'm Victoria Remrev. Back to you at the desk.
Indiana Volleyball returned to Wilkinson Hall for the first time this season on Monday. Our Ian Plaskoff has more.
After playing the first two matches of the season on the road, Indiana Volleyball opened up its home slate Monday night, hosting the UC Davis Aggies. Back in front of a raucous Wilkinson Hall crowd, the Hoosiers took this one in 4 sets to remain undefeated on the year. Indiana won set 1 25-16 in dominant fashion, but it was a marathon set 2 that headlined the match. Indiana came back from a 17-12 deficit to tie the set at 19. Then the marathon started. After a seemingly never-ending back and forth of points, the Aggies finally took the set 33-31.
There's a macro patience to it. I mean, you want to play hard in the situations when you're playing, but at the end of the day, you're not going to win every game, and it's about how you respond.
And respond they did. The Hoosiers started set 3 red hot, going up 3-0 and never looked back, ultimately taking the set 25-16. Set 4 was very similar to set 2 as Indiana was in need of another comeback. Trailing 22-16 late in the set, the Hoosiers looked to their veteran leaders for help, and they delivered.
And I thought that late in game 4, some of our veteran kids, Candy went back to the service line and had a run of points, and Cam had a huge kill, and Avery Tatum kind of closed the door on her birthday, so kind of a nice night for her. But, our best players have to play well. Everyone we play on the schedule this year is really good.
The Hoosiers would go on to win set 4 and take the match, but it wasn't just the veterans that helped them get there.
It helped us. That atmosphere has been great in here with Cream and Crimson and this match, and I think it's going to be a real advantage going into this Big Ten season.
They've literally shown out every single time that we've been at home, and even last year, they've just done amazing things, and they've helped us a lot. I mean, we've been able to win a lot of big-time matches at home because of them.
The Hoosier faithful will have to wait to get back in the stands until next week as Indiana heads south to play the reigning national champion Texas Longhorns on Thursday. From Wilkinson Hall, I'm Ian Plaskoff, IUSTV Sports.
Indiana cross country kicked off their season with a solid start at the Sam Bell Invitational. Sophomore Caitlin Witten kicked off the night with a 5th place finish, and Elka McFarland followed in 6th. Looking at the men's side, freshman Nate Killeen came in strong for the Hoosiers, placing 6th overall. The Hoosiers also grabbed 11th, 12th, and 13th place in the Invitational.
I knew it was going to be hot. It was going to be draining mentally and physically from the heat, but I just told everyone to it's only 14 minutes of running, and we all hydrated during the day, so I think we did pretty good.
The women's team placed 3rd overall and the men came in 2nd. The Hoosiers will travel to Illinois for the Big Ten preview on September 13th.
Indiana University took a tough loss against the University of Maine Black Bears in their home opener this Monday. Sophomore Inez Garcia Parado scored the first goal, yet Maine quickly responded with 2 goals of their own. Before the half, grad student Sydney Keld tied the game on a penalty corner. The third quarter was strong for the Hoosiers, but the last 2-minute goals from the Black Bears iced the game. The Cream and Crimson now look toward the next matchup against Miami of Ohio next weekend in Bloomington.
Joining us in studio for this week's Candy Stripe calendar is IUSTV sports reporter Joe Elms. Joe?
Thanks, guys. It's a busy upcoming next few days for the Hoosiers. It all starts tomorrow when women's soccer welcomes Evansville for a non-conference battle, and volleyball heads down to Austin, Texas to face the defending national champion and top-ranked Texas Longhorns. On Friday, volleyball finishes their back-to-back by facing off against Miami. Football plays host to Western Illinois, and men's golf partakes in the Visit Knoxville Collegiate, which runs from Friday to Sunday. To round out the weekend, women's golf begins the Betty Lou Evans Invitational in Nicholasville, Kentucky, and women's soccer takes on Lawrence University at Bill Armstrong Stadium. That's all for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all of the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Thomas Crow.
And I'm Kennedy Rehklau. We'll see you next week.